I would like to introduce the two people that I know that can best help us with a conversation about video game music and how each one of you can find a place in that world.
The game industry was running around talking about how they were bigger than the film industry. My initial reaction was kind of my nose went down saying, video games? Oh, I'm a musician. When I went up to EA, I experienced something that I hadn't experienced probably since MTV in the 80s or record companies in the 90s, which was this vibration that was going on in the halls. I mean, I had never felt this excitement. I mean, record companies felt dead. Few people know that bands like Chromeo and Matt and Kim were signed to EA in their music publishing, and we use the real estate to introduce them and to, frankly, from a business point of view, to increase the value of their copyright. There's a lot of bands, many bands along the way, from Kaiser Chiefs to Kings of Leon. Kings of Leon, it was 2002, I think, 2003, we put them in FIFA. They hadn't even been released in the US. We try to make the real estate, the musical real estate, a place where kids every single year can come to and say, well, last year I discovered two of my favorite bands, so who am I going to discover this year? Sometimes I go out there and I'll say to audiences, how many people here play video games? And everybody's hand goes up, and how many people here have discovered a band or found a band through a video game? And I would say about 100% of everybody under the age of 30-something's hand goes up. So now we extend ourselves into Spotify, where there are weekly Madden music updates. We program it every week. Weekly FIFA updates coming this year, where every single week you can continue to hear the newest bands that you're going to love that represent the sport. We've extended that, and we work with the leagues. We advise the MLS, for instance, on what bands they should be playing in their stadiums, and they all are the sound of FIFA, the gaming experience, not necessarily the live sport. Because if we followed what the live sports were doing, we'd have a lot of Gary Glitter and a lot of AC/DC, which is fine. But we figured that, an 18-year-old doesn't want to hear that over and over again. He wants to hear, wow, who is this guy called The Weeknd from last year? Or who's this guy called James Bay from last year? And that's really exciting, and we win because when they hear it on the radio or these artists get nominated for Grammys, they go back and go, whew, that's the band from Madden.
I was always a gamer. I was a gamer since the 70s. I was tired of having sound effects that stomped on music or music that stomped on sound effects. I convinced Bungie that I should be the audio director, which was a term that I made up in 1996. And I realized I was moving into a new field that was wide open. There were no rules. It's the Wild West. It's one thing to score a linear scene in a movie, and you know exactly where things are going to happen at a minute 10, 13 frames. This thing happens, and then they kiss over here at 2 minutes and 50 seconds and 12 frames, or whatever it is. So you score in that shape, and it always plays back the same way. In a video game that's telling stories, if you want to give that same effect. And so that was the puzzle. Like, how do I do interactive, adaptive music? How do I write music that once you've finished a level or an encounter or whatever it is, as a player, you go, wow, I feel like my experience was scored, and my emotional journey through this thing that I did, the music just supported everything that I did. And this is why it's still sort of the Wild West. We haven't completely figured this out. And I think, having a strong aesthetic that, like I have this personal aesthetic that I want to try to make people feel like their journey was scored without them being aware of what it was that I did.